Hello, friends. So we are here for the marriage series again, and this time, guys, that's the second time I have Neoshea on the channel during the marriage series. This is a sensitive subject, so I'm gonna go. I'm not going to talk too long, so I will bring Neoshea on the stage so we can start this discussion together. All right. So let me bring my friend on stage. Hey, Nyosha.
Hello.
Hi. Nice to have you here again.
Yes. So good to be here.
Yeah. So, Nyosha, I want to preface this discussion by saying thanks ever so much for agreeing to have that discussion. I know it's a sensitive subject. Please, what I want to tell you is if you feel uncomfortable, if you want to stop the recording, if you don't want to answer to a question or whatsoever, you can stop the conversation at any time.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
So,
good.
thank you very much. Do you feel okay? Are you okay
Yes.
to go with that discussion? The
Yeah,
reason
I'm
why
ready.
I ask is because I know you've shared often about your son.
Hmm.
You had a beautiful video when you were walking with Nick in the wood and sharing really how you met and how actually your son brought you together.
Today is my son Reese's second anniversary in heaven. And 2 years ago, he left this earth. Last year, we went to Colorado during this time. And we went hiking in the mountains. And we bring Reese along with us. And Reese, some of his ashes are in this necklace. So he went hiking with us because it's one of the things that he likes to do or like to do.
Right.
Right. Hmm.
I will let you introduce the topic and just tell us a little bit about your story about your son, and then we can continue the discussion.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, so my son was born in August of 1999, and he grew up being like the best fisherman ever. He loved to fish and he loved nature. You would see him outside all the time. Okay. So he was just the sweetest boy. I never had any issues with him from birth. I mean, he just was, like God just sent him to me and said, Here, here's your precious boy. So,
Wow.
yeah. Um, at the age of 20, he had just moved out to go live on his own and experience the world on his own. And within 2 months, he had been having some pains in his body, and the pains would not go away. So I told him, come back and live at home and we'll get this figured out, whatever it is. And so I took him to the doctor and they took blood tests and then they sent us to this blood doctor. And we're like, why are we being sent to a blood doctor? We had no idea. We went to this blood doctor and he wouldn't tell us what was going on. We're like, we're just wanting to know, why are we sent to you? Well, you were sent to us for a reason. You need to have a bone marrow biopsy. And we're like, why? What is going on? He would not tell us what was going on. So we went ahead and got a second opinion with another doctor. And that doctor did blood test. And then that doctor said, I want you both to come and see me after he got the results, or she. And so we went and saw her, and she said it's leukemia, which
Mhm.
is a blood cancer.
Yeah.
And we were surprised because in all of his life, he'd never been sick with anything, like,
Mm.
never had issues. And so we're like, how did this happen? So he was diagnosed with cancer. And so from there on, we dealt with trying to get rid of this cancer.
Mhm.
Um, in May of 2020, when the world shut down, he had to live a month in the hospital doing chemotherapy. And the chemotherapy, sorry about the noise. We've got
Don't worry. Don't worry.
kids going
It's okay.
So, with the chemotherapy to remission, and that means that the cancer was not showing in his body, and we were like, yay. So now it's time for a bone marrow transplant. Okay, so he got to come home, and 2 days after we found out that he was in remission, I think it was 2 days, 1 or 2 days, we got the call that his dad, who I had not been married to in a long time, we divorced a long time ago when Reese, my son, sorry, I guess I didn't say his name. Reese was just a baby when we divorced. But we
Mhm.
got the call that his dad had died. And so at that time, we had to plan a funeral for his dad
Right.
when Reese went into remission. And then when that was done, we had to go 3 hours away to Kansas City to the KU Med Center. And I donated my bone marrow for him to get a bone marrow transplant. And that was supposed to take care of it.
Mhm.
But 96% of my blood took over, and there was still 4% of his blood in his body.
Mm.
And we got to come home after 3 months of living in Kansas City. And that was in October of 2020. And then in January of 2021, we found out that he had relapsed and the cancer was back. So, in between that time was when Nick, my husband, and I started dating in between October and January. We kind of started hanging out quite a bit and
Mhm.
started dating. And so thankfully, the day that we found out that Reese relapsed, Nick was there because I broke down. I didn't break
Yeah.
down before because
Gotcha.
I felt
Yeah.
like he was gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But when he relapsed, I knew.
We-
I don't know. But so with that, Reese and I were in and out of hospitals because when he'd get a fever, he had to be admitted in the hospital and be there for a few days. They tried different chemotherapies. We had to go live in Kansas City again, things like that. We lived in a motel room up there. They put us up there. So um, that was, let's see, January 2021 until July of 2022. He fought and fought and fought really hard.
Mhm.
But July 23rd of 2022 was the day he took his last breath. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm so sorry, and you're so brave to, be able to talk about him. And I love all the, as I said, the video that you shared about his life and how lively he was and how such a beautiful, beautiful boy that Reese
Mhm.
was.
Yes.
And you shared something that was also amazing is that Reese is the one who actually somehow, brought you even further together. Can you
Yes,
tell us a little bit about that?
I can. So, really, I I give all credit to Reese and God. And
Mhm.
um basically, I feel like God was kind of placing us in the right place at the same time, and he knew. But Reese had actually, and I don't remember what month, but it was 2018. Reese wrecked his pickup in front of Nick's house. And so we didn't know Nick at that time. And then Reese had fishing poles in the back of the pickup. So we left the fishing poles at Nick's house so that they can throw all the rubbish and everything from the wreck into the back of the pickup and not on the fishing poles. So that was a whole ordeal. But then that was on a Sunday, I think. And then the next weekend, Reese was going to go to Men's Encounter, which is a kind of a Christian weekend retreat for men.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that planned. So Reese went, and without us even realizing it, Nick was going too. And so Reese went up to Nick and started talking to Nick. And Nick's like, who is this kid? Why is he talking to me? And Reese is like, do you remember I just wrecked my pickup in front of your house? And so they got to be friends, and they had gotten on to Messenger and would chat and everything. Going forward to November of 2019, I do theater. I love being on stage and I love acting and everything. So I auditioned for Seussical the Musical, and Nick was in it as well. I was like, wow. That was his first show ever. He did it because his daughter wanted him to do it with her. So we were on stage together. So we kind of got to know each other a little bit through that. And then come in October of 2020, when Reese and I came back from Kansas City, I always had like a game night with my theater friends. And so I invited Nick, and actually I sent out messages to everybody that had given a gift to Reese and during his time, and Nick was one of them. I was like, thank you so much and everything. And I was like, you want to come join us for a game night? So he did. And Reese just kind of sat by him and talked to him quite a bit. And he really enjoyed having him around. And I don't know, just somewhere from there, like with Reese connecting, kind of being in the middle.
Yeah.
Nick and I just kind of hit it off. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I understand when you say God was placing, him there on purpose because he knew, because you can see the guiding hand of God there. Anyway, you feel it when you have faith.
Yes.
You know.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so they were actually friends. They actually knew each other before actually you two becoming united.
Yeah, and Nick had said, I was a little afraid of what Reese would think if I started dating his mom.
Yeah. And how was it about, you two becoming, coming together? How did Reese reacted?
Reese was super happy. He was very happy about it. I will say that like God placed Nick in our lives at the right time, because as Reese was going through this and continuing to fight this cancer battle, Nick was there to help in whatever way we needed help. And then come March of I have to tell you this part. So I want to say it was December or January, we were planning our wedding. So like January 2022, we were planning our wedding, and we're like, okay, I'm a teacher, so let's wait until school is completely out. Let's go to May. Let's get married at the end of May or beginning of June. Well, our pastor was not going to be around to be able to marry us. So we're like, okay, we'll do the next weekend, but we don't want to go any further because we don't want to get married in the heat and stuff like that. So come the next weekend in June, the second weekend, we found out that Nick's parents and uncles and aunts were going to be out of town. It's like, okay, so when do we get married? And we decided, well, let's get married spring break I know school's not going to be completely out, but if we get married at the beginning of spring break, we can go on our honeymoon during spring break. And so March 12th of 2022, we decided to get married. And Reese was sick like the week before, and we're like, you need to go to the hospital. And he's like, no, I don't want to go to the hospital, because he knew when he's sick and not feeling well, they're going to admit him for a week or so.
Yeah.
And we're like, we'll just get married in the hospital room so that you can be there. It's fine. He's like, no, I want to not go to the hospital. He knew how much I've always wanted to have a wedding.
Yeah.
He cared about his mama so much. And so on the day of, him and his brother walked me down the aisle, and then he got to go sit down because he was very, very weak. And I think about 3 or 4 days later, he ended up going to the hospital. But we were able to go on our honeymoon. He stayed with Nick's parents, and he really enjoyed that. Yeah. So at that time, he was 21 years old. No, he was 22 years old at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere along the line, so that was March of 2022. Somewhere in there, he ended up telling Nick, I am so happy to have a grandpa and a dad, because both his grandpas and his dad, had passed away. And so he was so happy, and so he just loved Nick and his family. And then
Beautiful.
4 months later, after we got married, that was the day. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's such a beautiful, beautiful story, And it's so he had so much love, right? Before having a dad there, and having also a grandfather that he didn't have before. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Neoshea, I don't know, are you okay for me to ask you some questions about, the loss of a child and how,
Yes.
it has impacted you and your husband and Nick,
Right.
and also is that your younger son? Is he young? Was he younger or older?
He was younger. My younger son is now 22 at this age, at this
Yeah.
time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for, people who may be going through the same life,
Yeah.
I don't know how to call it. I'm being very cautious because it's something that is so hard that I can't even imagine.
Well, we end up calling it like a club that we never wanted to be a part of.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So how did, the loss of Reese impacted Nick and your marriage right after, and your family all together? I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was no negative impact at all. I will say, like I said, God put Nick in my life at the right time, because after Reese passed, Nick was amazing. He was so caring, and I mean, he still is, but at that time, he was there and he helped me tremendously through my grief and everything. And Nick was going through grief himself, but he was putting on this facade for me because he didn't want to make it any worse.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But the marriage was not really impacted. So
That's beautiful. And it's since I heard you talking about, Reese, and you talk about him with so much, I don't know, calm, your emotions, and I don't know. Sorry, I'm a little bit lost for word here, because a lot of people would, and the way you accepted that, that was God's decision, right? And I feel that I mean, I'm not forcing faith or belief
Mhm.
on anyone. Everybody
Right.
believes what they want to believe.
Yeah.
But having faith in your life, when you go through grief, and it's very hard even when you believe to accept God's will, you
Mhm.
know, when it's something that is so traumatic happening to you.
Mhm.
How do you even today talk about race, your son, and accept that this was God's decision and He placed Nick there to help you through this, brought you together.
Mhm.
And even Rich was like, part of this union. You
Mhm.
must have a strong faith. I'm just admirative about this. Is why I wanted to talk about it and share it with other people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so after Reese passed, it was within 2 weeks that I started looking for some kind of a group or something to be a part of, to
Hmm.
learn from other people who have lost a child. And I found Grief Share. And
Hmm.
so that's something that you can Google and you can find that.
Okay.
Um, so we started going to this group thing that they actually weren't starting it until um, 3 weeks after Reese passed. And I was like, I found it just in time. I was able to start it from the beginning. That it's 13 weeks long, and it talks all about grief, different aspects of grief, and how
Hmm.
to deal with your grief and everything in a positive way. It is kind of Christian based, but anybody can attend this, and I
Right.
I definitely recommend it. And it's not just for losing children, it's losing anybody, any kind of grief of losing someone you love.
Is it this?
Yes, that's
Right.
it.
And was it online or was it in person?
It was in person,
Right.
and I I don't think doing something online would have been as impactful as it is
Right.
in person.
Right.
So, and then in November of that year, I found through Grief Share, I found Respite Retreat.
Hmm.
And they down in Gulf Shores, Alabama,
Hmm.
um, they have like 10 couples can come together who have lost a child. And this is based on just children, losing a child. And so
Okay.
we went there and we got to meet 9 other couples who had lost their child, their children, whatever.
Right.
And it was nice because then I went before I felt alone. I felt like I was the only person who had ever lost a child, even
Yeah.
though I know I was not. But when I went to this respite retreat, it was like I felt like I was a part of a community of people who understood what I was going through.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot.
Right. Okay.
And
And
then
how long? Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on.
um and then with that, we found another retreat, a weekend retreat to go to that was down at Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Okay.
And it's actually there's several of these all over the world, or no, United States, and they actually just started doing some in Germany, I believe. And it's called While We're Waiting.
While we're waiting. Okay.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
we'll do, oh, it's here. What we'll do is we'll share them, guys. We'll share them in the description as well.
Hmm.
Let me just add this one here.
Yeah.
And instead, is this one while we're waiting.
I think that's, yeah. So while,
Is finding hope and life after the loss of a child can be?
yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. And so the grief share respite retreat that did cost money to go, but the while
Hmm.
we're waiting is on donations.
Right. Right.
So you can go and you can, you know, donate any money, whatever you want while you're there. And
Right.
it's wonderful. They're just, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So doing those kind of things helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And I I cannot imagine, and not to step on toes or anything, but I cannot imagine going through something like this without faith, without
Yeah.
having God in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I I probably, for me, I'd probably be in bed still to this day, 2 years later, depressed and sad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I know some people, they have faith in God, but then they lose a child and they go the other direction as well.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
happens, and they blame God for it, and it happens.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but for me, I felt like I really needed to step my foot deep down, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's how
Wow.
I'm able to talk about it now. And okay, so after I started going through the grief share, I finished that one session.
Mm-hmm.
I started that ministry in my church, and
Oh,
Nick and I started leading that same ministry to help other people who have lost a loved one.
that
And
is incredible.
mhm. So that's the thing. I feel like with this is when you lose someone you love, um, go and help other people who have been through the same thing, because you
Yeah.
know what it's like. So
Yeah.
you can now help
Absolutely.
other people, and that helps you heal.
Yeah. Wow. That is powerful. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's actually what I wanted to ask. The help, the resources and support that you went through. So, I will collect all of them with you later, and then list them,
Mhm.
especially for those parents that may be going through the same trauma, and
Yeah.
knowing where to go.
Right.
And so, did you also like attend like therapy, counseling? I mean, I guess those retreats, are there like average people? Did you have like a therapist there in these retreats, or
Mhm.
no? It was just parents, other
Yeah.
parents
Yeah.
sharing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just parents sharing, and then learning how we can cope with our loss and things like that. And no, I didn't go to a therapist or anything.
Hmm.
There was a little bit of a time that, um, I want to say about 8 months ago, I did go
Hmm.
to a therapist just to see if it was anything that would help at all. But I went to her probably for about 6 weeks, I think, each week.
Hmm.
And she's like, I think you're doing great. So I'm going to dismiss you. I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you." So,
And yeah, and I guess there's no better help than other people that actually understand,
mhm,
what you're going through, to
exactly.
help each other. And
Yeah.
what Nick and you did, and creating the same ministry into
Hmm.
your own church, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's just amazing. And I understand why today, even for me, that just shows, right, your action, and today how God lead you to Mexico, and
Hmm.
how things have been flowing
Yeah.
for you, um,
For
that
sure.
direction. And um, so how did you deal with, like, I know it's been only 2 years.
Mhm.
It's an anniversary, special dates, his birthday. It's
Yeah.
How did you handle those? Even today, how do you celebrate Reese today?
So, all right. So Reese died on July 23rd,
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
His birthday is August 11.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, uh, right after he died, what is that? 19 days later, I think is what it was. His birthday, he would have been 23.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up having a little birthday celebration at home. I bought an ice cream cake from Dairy Queen because he loved ice cream cake.
Mm-hmm.
And on the ice cream cake was a fish because he loved fishing. And it said, "We miss you, Reese." So some close friends and family came over, and we celebrated his birthday. And then for also on his birthday, we went to the hospitals, not Kansas City because that's 3 hours away, but we went to the
Mhm.
local hospitals that he got help at.
Yeah.
And Reese's favorite candy is Reese's peanut butter cups. And so we bought bags of Reese's peanut butter cups and we took it to the nurses to thank them for helping Reese. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how we celebrated that first year. The second year, and then this year, on Reese's birthday, we went to the nurses and brought them Reese's peanut butter cups. And he uh on let's see. No, that was for his death date, July 23rd. What we do is we go out and we go hiking. I have a necklace with his ashes in it, and we go hiking because that's something that Reese loved. And so I would wear that necklace and just bring him along with us to go hiking.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's the video. You've shared that in one of your
Mm.
videos, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna link that video also, guys. Check in the description. And I invite you really to watch it. It's really beautiful to hear you talk about his life and your life together.
Right.
And yeah, thanks ever so much for sharing such a personal story and something really, I'm sure family going through it would really benefit to listen
Yes.
to you talking about, how
Mhm.
you've managed to, um, I don't know how to say it, how to live today with that, of
Right.
losing a child, which is
Yeah,
one of the hardest, if not the hardest thing
it
that
is.
anyone on the planet can go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I just can't I still to this day can't imagine that he's not here anymore. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, Neosha, what advice would you give to was a couple going through the loss of a child? I know you've given resources and you explained the way you deal with it, uh,
mhm.
and dealing with it, because I think it's something that you will deal with it your entire life. It's
Mm.
still part of your life. Um, what are specific ways couples can deal support each other, because I've seen often where couple losing a child. I know that risk was not maybe directly Nick's child, but
Right. Mhm.
the grief sometimes can push
Mhm.
couples away. So what advice would you give to those couples going through something similar?
The advice that I would give to those couples is just give each other grace. Give each other
Mm,
grace. It does not matter whether you're a couple or just individuals. Everybody grieves differently,
mm,
and you might like your fuse might be a bit short.
yeah.
Give that person grace. Give each other grace. You've got to do that. Otherwise, the marriage won't survive it, if you feed into those emotions. And it's hard not to feed into the emotion, and I understand that, but you've got to try to, kind of help each other through it.
Mhm,
That's kind of the advice that I give. And don't just don't close yourselves off. Don't do that. Find a community. Husbands, find a community of men that can help you, and
mhm.
wives, find a community of women that can help you and to help you through this. Because when you're grieving together, I don't think that's going to help you completely. You've got to have other people that can just be there for you as well.
Exactly. And so, because you have a younger son as well, how did you help him as parents? How did you help him to cope with the loss of his brother? And, did he, yeah, what support and was in place for him?
Well, with that, like I said, every person grieves differently. And
Mm-hmm,
so with my youngest son, Trace, he it impacted him, because he really loved his brother and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just being there, and if they want to talk, listen to them. Just let them talk about it. You don't have to give any advice or anything like that. They
Mm-hmm.
just need to speak about it and let them
Right.
talk. Let them talk about their sibling. Let them do
Yeah.
that, because I know that there are people out there that, oh, I don't want to hear my child's name because it'll make me
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just keep working through it, and don't close yourself off. And yeah, and I know that after a while, people are going to actually kind of dissipate and get back to their life,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to feel alone.
Yeah.
Reach out to people. You're going to have to just reach out to them. So
Right.
yeah.
Beautiful. And do you think that, having gone through such a tragedy, right, together as a couple has made you stronger somehow, dealing with, ha-
Yeah.
yes.
I would say that we've definitely became stronger and as a couple and everything. And you know, we were married just 4 months. 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
we you know how people, when they first get married, they have this honeymoon for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're on this cloud nine.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't get that. So we had to go right into, okay, this is a relationship that we have to work together and get through these tough times together right away. You know, what is it that they say when you get married through, you know, thick and thin, whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Nick met you and Reese was already ill, right?
Hmm.
So you guys, I mean, from the beginning, as you said, that was God's hand there.
Hmm.
But through this, you decided your love grew through the pain.
Hmm.
This is a very unique, story there that you have. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful story.
Thank
And this is why when I see both of you together, I'm just like, I love seeing you together, the
you.
dynamic. Just love, love, love
Yeah.
seeing your couple
Thank
together.
you.
That's
Yeah.
okay. And so, just two more questions, Neoshea, and then I'll let you go. So, what do you want other couples to know about healing after the loss of a child? In general, is there anything else you want to throw out there to couple maybe that would be watching, people watching, and what do you want them to know?
Um, for one is that grief is just going to be for the rest of your life
Mhm.
because you love that person. But for two, it does not have to be a big part of your life for the rest of your life. You can still have joy in your life, and it's okay to laugh, and it's okay to enjoy your life even though they're not here anymore. That's
Mhm.
okay. You can do it. And hey, I'm here. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me too. So I know what it's like.
Excellent. Yeah.
You know.
And about that, do you have an email or through your chat? I was looking
Mhm.
if you have an email address that you listed there.
Yes, it's down at the
So
bottom, I believe. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
not.
that's okay. That's
So,
okay. We'll
but
we'll add that. Yes, there's your email address here. So yes, let me see. Submit. Um, yes, there's definitely your email address there. So we can
okay.
always add that. Or do you want me
Yep.
to? I'll add that in the comment because he doesn't want to give it to me right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Neoshagearing at gmail.com.
oh, easy,
Mm-hmm.
easy. Okay. So, right. So, guys, we're going to put Neosha's email in the description. So, feel free to reach out
Yeah. Yeah.
if you need. And maybe Neosha, I mean, that's if you're comfortable with that. Maybe there's more that you can share later just to help as well on your, because you were asking what? you can share on your channel,
Yes.
And for me, when you tell me about you creating a ministry to help other parents going through it, I just find this amazing, because
Yeah.
it's true that helping out other people is part of healing.
It is.
It's just extending the grace that you receive going through these, different retreat and a support group.
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe you could have a little series about just how to help other parent going through it, because people looking at it might want more information from you. And so that could be, I mean,
That's
I'm
a good
just
idea.
throwing that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
I need
out there.
ideas.
Yeah, that's okay. And the last one would be so I know you've already shared about his birthday, Reese's birthdays, and and thank you for sharing also. I like what you said about the way you supported Trace, the younger brother, to deal with his own grief, and really respecting everyone grieves completely differently. And so how do you honor his memory today as a family, like um at home, with
Yeah.
grandparents, with the family in general?
Basically, to honor his memory is just to tell the stories, to talk about
Right.
them,
Right.
saying the stories like, oh, I remember this one time when Reese, and everything. Just talking about them and saying their name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Neosha, thanks ever so much, for giving this gift
You're
to,
welcome.
the people watching.
I hope it helps
And
people. I really hope it's,
100%.
anybody that's looking for help, this can help them. So,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I am sure that listening to your story, because it's an incredible, beautiful story, even through this traumatic experience. And I'm sure a lot of people can benefit and start healing through listening to you.
yeah,
So,
I hope so.
yeah, if you want to add anything else, if you want to send some word out there for whatever you want to say, the floor is yours.
Well, I will say, if you're going through something like this, if you've lost your child, or, even if it was several years ago or just yesterday, just know there's hope. There really is. You don't have to keep living in the darkness and in your grief and stuff. There is hope. Find your community, find the people that can help you, and just reach out to people. You've got to have that. So, yeah.
Excellent. My friend, thanks ever so much. It's always a pleasure, chatting with you. And
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
yeah, so I will let you go now. I know you have a lot to do. So, friend, I hope you enjoyed, this episode with Neosha and what she shared with all of us. So, until next time,
Yeah.
I have to
Thank you
say
for
bye bye.
having me.
My
Bye.
pleasure, friend. Bye bye. Bye. Let me end the recording.